welcome to the MMA Heat podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant.
What's up, guys? Alan Jouban as well.
Hey, so we are going to talk about UFC Fight Island 7 and the incredible main event between Max Holloway and Calvin Kattar. We'll talk about the co-main event between Carlos Condit and Matt Brown. But Alan, we have to ask you, because last time I talked to you, it was like last minute you were getting the call to go work LFA, and then Laura ended up working it too. And so you guys were there with Ron. So how did it go? How was it?
It went great. Yeah, everything got a little crazy, a little last minute. I got the call to go and do LFA color commentary. I think it was like on a Tuesday when Ed Suarez called me. And then the day before, when we were doing fighting meetings, they brought in Laura Senko as well. And so we all three jumped in there with Ron Kruk, who's a professional, been doing it forever. If you guys watch the old Inside MMA back in the day with Boz Rutan and Kenny and stuff,
Kenny,
I mean, Ron was there since the very beginning. He's been doing it forever. So he's a constant pro.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a little bit weird for all of us, just like so much last minute stuff, so many things going on outside of it that we were just trying to put on a good show with all that happening. And but I was very happy for the way that it started. Me on 4 days notice, Laura on less than 24-hour notice, and none of us worked together before at a booth, type thing. We did a good job. I was very happy with it. The LFA was very pleased with what we were able to give them. And then moving forward, if they decide to continue using us, like, it's only going to get better. I mean, to have that last minute preparation with people that never worked and everything that happens, like, and Karyn, like, normally the production is sending you notes and schedules, and we're going to tee you up on this. Like, to do all of that in 24 hours with new people is it's just kind of like a nightmare. It's crazy, but we were able to make it work. So I was very happy with it. I had a fun time, and I look forward to doing it some more.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you had a good time. And yeah, I mean, for folks who don't know, and maybe you have a little bit more insight on this, immediately when you said, you got the opportunity, I said, what happened? Did Pat say something he shouldn't have? For those who don't know, Pat Miletich usually calls this stuff, and Pat is very outspoken, a very outspoken right-wing supporter. And I think what happened is maybe he said something that got him in some hot water. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I honestly don't know all the details, because I tried to find Pat on social media, but I'm not sure if it's a fake account or his real account. I think it's a follow, has to be accepted or whatever. So I didn't follow, but I don't want to dig too deep into it because I don't know the whole story, and Pat's going through some stuff, and I don't want to step on his toes right now. But to give people the gist, Pat was there at the protests / riots at the Capitol a week or so ago. So he was there. What part he partook in that, I don't know. But he was there. So, if Pat was just there in support or part of the protests, that's one thing. If he was there in the riot portion of it or whatever, so I don't know any of those details. But long story short, he was there supporting, his right-wing brothers. And then there was a post that he put up that I think he put up a post with somebody who he probably shouldn't have. There was somebody that was, an extremist in one area. And so because of that, I think the LFA said, you know what, we don't support this. We don't know what your intentions were, Pat, but this doesn't come off good, especially as you being part of the family. So they took a step back. And so with that said, I'll take the opportunity now to say, Pat's a former UFC champion, always had a lot of respect for Pat. And he's always, he's called a bunch of my fights too. He's always given me a fair shake. I thought he's always called my fights very fair, and I've always been real happy with that. So, and he's very, very good at what he does. When you listen to Pat talk, it's like he's done it a million times. He can do it with his eyes closed. He's talking so casually and so effortlessly. He's so good at what he does. So big shoes to fill. And I actually got a little bit of pushback, Karyn, from some of Pat's supporters, which, was kind of expected. Like, why did I take a job and not support him? And is this part of cancel culture and all that stuff? And my explanation for that is I've always been, when opportunity arises, you take the opportunity, figure out the details later. I don't know, like I just said, I explained all that I know of what happened with Pat. So for me to say, I'm not taking this job and feeding my family until I get to the bottom of this of what happened with Pat. They call the next guy and I lose the job, right? So I take the job, I do my best job, I try to get in reps to try to make my employers happy, and then let them figure out the rest. So I wish the best for Pat. I don't know what the future holds, if this will be a constant thing for me. if they're bringing in other people as auditions, if they're bringing Pat back. Don't know that yet. For me, it was like, I'm going to jump on a plane and go call a fight in 3 days notice, because that's what we do. You know what I mean? Opportunity arises in broadcasting or whatever, and fight. If they call you, UFC says, oh, we got a last minute fight, you take it. And so that's what it was. But yeah, to answer your question, it was something in that area, like you said, that kind of got Pat in a bit of hot water. So they're trying to figure it out now.
Yeah, you're just a squirrel trying to get a nut, just like the rest of the guys. So you're not a scab crossing a picket line. And I understand, yeah, Pat has obviously his fans. And yeah, they might just think that you're coming in, swooping in and canceling him. But yeah, your deal and his deal, totally separate. So yeah, that's not cool for them to hate on you. But obviously, selfishly, I hope you get more opportunities to do that, because I know it is something that you want to do. And for folks who don't know, you and I are working together again late in February, right? On
February 20th?
February 20th or something like that, right?
I can't remember. I think it's a heavyweight main event. It might be, I don't want to mess it up.
I forget.
It might be the rematch. Derek Lewis versus the wrestler.
Oh, Curtis. Is it Curtis and Derek?
Maybe Curtis Blades,
okay.
Derek Lewis. They were maybe supposed to fight a little while back, and then somebody got COVID. Reschedule for this one. Yeah,
so there's some moving parts and stuff, but yes, we'll be working together next month,
looking
which
forward
will be
to
really fun. But yeah, there was quite the drought with no fights for a while, and then all of a sudden you had LFA, and then the next thing you know, we're watching Maxie freaking baby do
Amazing.
The damn thing. Alan Jouban, when I tell you, I was literally on my feet, jumping around the room, screaming at the TV, like screaming at the TV. And then when he sat there and he started yelling at DC and stuff, while Calvin, I'm like, what is happening? What am I witnessing? What am I seeing? That was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
You know what's crazy, Karyn, is so I text Zach. I guess it was yesterday morning. I can't remember. Congratulations, man. Because I was just thinking, being on the broadcasting end as well now, I'm thinking how you guys think. I'm thinking how Zach's thinking. I'm thinking how Dan Hardy and DC and John Anik must have felt. This is the debut on ABC, right? This is a big deal for the company. We already kind of teased about it last time. The debut for Fox was kind of a disaster because it was a quick knockout, a lot of space to fill. So now we're in a new network or a new channel. ABC, the first time they're making all these comparisons about Muhammad Ali fought here, all the greats that have done it. The UFC is back in the new year on Fight Island again on a new network. Will the fights hold up? And it was one of the most exciting, as you said, best fights you can imagine. The entire card was fun fights. The co-main was fun. Those guys went to war. We're going to get into that. But Maxie, baby, he took it to another level. And I feel safe to say I've never seen anything like that, because there's a lot of times in fights where you see something and experience something. The Showtime kick, oh my God, I've never seen that move. But the energy and the confidence, and they summed it up very good on the broadcast, Karyn. They said he's in the zone. It was like white men can't jump. He found the zone, and he could not make a mistake. And I'd never seen anything like that. And I was sitting there with my mouth open thinking, I'm watching something that has never been done before. And you said it. When he looked away and he was talking to him, I'm the greatest, and then he hit him with that right hand in the nose and then slipped a punch and then bobbed and weaved underneath. The camera angle that caught that, the move, the timing. I mean, I think John Anik said he might have broke Kattar's nose on that punch. And a no look, he was in the zone. It was amazing. And it was like, I was so grateful that I just got home, landed, and turned on the TV to watch the main and co-main and got to witness that live rather than have to hear about it on social media and be like, oh my God, I missed the emotion of it. I would still go back and watch it, but it's not the emotion of watching it live like we got to do. Yeah,
and it is one of those fights where, you'll remember it now, right? There are certain fights that you kind of remember Always. What you were doing. And, so to back up a lot of the things you said, yes, you're right. The broadcast side of that, you're high-fiving each other in the room.
Yeah.
You're like, holy crap, like, look, and we bottled magic, Yeah. So yeah, I know that they were all freaking out at having something that good And for it, to be the first one in ABC, like it all lines up. Dana had a good day. You know what I mean? It's like we had a definite maybe from Khabib, so it was a good day, right? But it was special. And the funny thing is, we've seen from Max, obviously, we've seen him do things before. He and Ricardo pointing to the middle of the octagon to the, Max is the guy that has done so many special things. They put that in the video game. But like you said, he leveled up. And I guess what was so exciting about it too, and I'm not one of these people that doubted Max. I definitely did not doubt Max. But, you lose a couple fights to the champion and all of a sudden people are like, Max isn't the same. Max isn't this. Max isn't that. And I know, and he's like, I'm going to do something special. The part that I think I liked the most about it was the proving of the, oh, really? Oh, I'm done. Oh, you think I'm washed up? Oh, that's it. Like, to me, that was even more of the thrill of the fight, was not even just what was happening, but the context of what it meant, what he was coming back from, what it means for him going forward. I just loved it.
Just when you start to doubt Max, he comes back and shows you that he's one of the greatest of all time. He's done it to me. When he fought the rematch against Alex Volkanovski, and I thought, you know what? Alex looked so good against him. And Max wasn't really training. He was doing a Zoom camp, etc. How would he up his game? And he came back and upped his game and made that a compelling, who knows which way it went fight. And then the way that he did it, every time we brought up this fight between him and Calvin Kattar, I kept thinking, Kattar's got really good boxing. He's got the power. But I got to lean on Max just for having that experience advantage. And, like, you don't know which Max you might get, this or that. And as you said, Karyn, he just shut us all up. And he said, like, I'm levels above that. He evolved. This guy would have beaten up the Max Holloway that fought Dustin Poirier. This guy would have beaten up the Max Holloway that fought Alex. He would have beaten up all those guys. Max right now, 2.0, 2021 Max Holloway. He's on another level. We've never seen anything like that. He beat all his own records before when it comes to push count and stuff. But just the movement. His boxing's always been good, but it was more like, I don't get tired, so I can touch you. But we've never really seen the understanding of distance, the head movement, the bobs and the weaves. Granted, he's had low hands before, but those up jabs that when his hands were by his hips and he was hitting you and then rolling out and continuing to hit you. And then what about the combination, Karyn? Do you remember when he had Calvin Kattar in trouble? He put him against the cage. I think it was the third or fourth round.
Okay.
And it was like a 100-punch combo, body, over the top, elbow, punch, body, elbow. I was losing my mind. I was like, this is like cheat mode right now. Totally. That he's on with the remote. And he would not stop. Some people throw a 3, 4, 5-punch combo, come out, take a breath, come back in. He consistently through this entire combo kept the pressure on. And just to end this with, how tough is Calvin Kattar? Who stands up? I think they said there was 100 body punches landed in that fight. 100 body punches? Give me a break. One shot to the liver could drop a man. I've been there before. And he took 100 body punches and his face was busted up and he continued to the bell. It took 2 to tango that night, but Max Holloway, he solidified himself in the Hall of Fame that night.
Absolutely incredible performance from him. And when we talk about all those numbers, I did do an after the facts video because Max broke all the records. But just to your point here, if I hold this up to the camera, just here's some of the ones. But yeah, to your point, he broke every record. So alone, the previous record for significant strikes landed was 290, but Max landed 445. Like, what?
Not even close.
And then when you talk about the significant strikes landed in a round, he landed 141 in one round. That's the new record.
That's more. That's probably the round. Does it say what round that was? I wonder if that was the round.
I don't know. The previous record was 134 strikes landed in one round. He landed 141. I don't know which round that was. 141.
I bet you anything that was that round that we just spoke of, the third or the fourth round.
It's probably the third. Yeah, because together the two of them also set combined records. So the significant strikes landed was 578 between the two of them. The previous record was 400. Like, they blew the crap out of it. And that's the thing where we have to give Calvin some due as well, because it does take 2 to tango. And I don't know how you feel about whether or not it should have been stopped. There were points when I thought, maybe. But then I also really love Calvin, and I think he's so tough. And we know there were a couple times where he came back and absolutely cracked Max with some power. And I'm thinking, I know with Calvin against Zabit, like the more the fight went on, the better Calvin got. I don't necessarily think that was going to happen with Max because Max was just on fire from freaking ding to, beginning to end. But Calvin's the kind of guy where I was like, I can see not stopping it because he hasn't been in a ton of wars yet. He's powerful. He's handling this damage pretty well. He could turn it around in one punch. So there were times like I was more upset by Anthony Smith with Glover. I thought that should have been stopped more. So this didn't get me going on the level that other fights have gotten me. Whereas if it was stopped though by Calvin's team, I would have been totally fine with it. But I'm not saying I was one of those people that said it had to be stopped. It could have been, and I would, but and I know people are like, well, maybe it's in the future this will be a bad thing for Calvin, and I hope that's not the case. And I guess that would be the real main deciding factor for me is if I'm in his corner going, well, shoot, this is the best Max we've ever seen. This is one of the best fighters on the planet we've ever seen, period. My guy's really probably not going to beat him. I would have started measuring return on investment there and thinking about throwing in the towel. But I understand why they didn't, and I'm okay with them not, I guess is my point.
Yeah. And I hate to say this, like doing it for the network or the company, but if they had stopped that fight in the end of the third, beginning of the fourth, whatever it was, we would have still been praising Max Holloway, but it would not have been the fight that we're talking about, right? It wouldn't have broken all these records because you're taking 2 rounds away. It wouldn't have been like, we might not have seen the no-look Max Holloway punch if it would have been stopped before that. So for the network, for the company, for Max, for this fight, the fight became so much bigger because it kept going on. I would never say put a fighter's life or health in jeopardy to do those things. But if Max was happy with it, Calvin was happy with it after. He said, you got to kill me to get me out of here. His cornermen know him. It made the fight what it was. But I do have to say this. I was on the fence about them stopping it because I started seeing it was 5 shots to 1, 5-1. Max would land a combo, then Calvin would land one now and then, but they weren't really hurting Max. But if Max's shots would have been more powerful, tap, 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 that eventually messes up your brain too. They're all not healthy. But power shots that are like knocking a guy silly, that's when we're really like, all right, stop the fight. But when it's like tap, 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 and Calvin's still like, able to fight back, but it's just like 5-1, it's just overwhelming him. And I think that's what a lot of us were like, well, you could stop it, but if you don't, I understand. And so that's what was kind of back and forth. The crazy thing about it, Karyn, let me see if I can explain this the right way. Max was still getting touched up as well. He was just landing 5 to every 1. It was just like so many that he was landing. But so let's say this was a 3-round fight. Calvin still landed enough shot on Max. If Max would have lost this fight and it was a 3-round fight, Max still took a significant amount of damage. To compare this to, like, you take Max's numbers that he absorbed and compare that to a normal fight, he still was damaged a lot. You know what I mean? And Max has been, even though Max has been doing these type of fight of the nights and winning them and beating guys up, like he did Bryant Ortega, Max is still taking 200 shots every fight, right? And it doesn't really seem to be affecting Max's fighting style. Sometimes we see Max warming up slow, and we're like, oh man, what's wrong with him? Why is his weigh-ins and why is he moving so slow and everything? But then he fights like that's just his style. So if we start seeing Max slow down, we go, well, so even though Max is scoring 500 shots a fight and he's only getting hit 200 4 times a year adds up, right? Yeah. And so it's an interesting thing. I guess what I'm getting at is saying it's a dangerous game that we play. And Max's style of fighting is a dangerous game because although he's winning these fights and he's maybe taking years off of some of these fighters' fight life, he's also playing the same gamble with his own life, his own fight life, because these are to give a punch, you got to be able to take a punch, and he's fine with taking it. And so I wonder how long he could do these break record type of fights.
Well, luckily, though, he has pulled back on the sparring, though. So that I think is so key. And I love that he was saying, advising young fighters and guys coming up to save their brains and don't spar as much. So, yeah.
How did he say it, though? He said, like, save save your potatoes or something. He was like, I forgot what he said. Save your eggs. Save your chickens. Save your chickens, man. Save your chickens. You got one brain. I was like, is that a Hawaiian thing?
I don't know. But I love it because you're right. Once he's in there, when it's time to show out for work, he's putting it all there. But I think that's great that if him not sparring means he can do that in the fight, then I hope he keeps fighting like that and doing his camps like that. And yeah, for Calvin, I guess the interesting thing will be for Calvin, right? How he levels up after this, because there's no way he's not going to get so much better from this experience. And it's going to raise his fight IQ. It's going to do a lot for him. But to your point too about the stopping, I just wanted one other thing, because you're right. It was on this network, and you know that there's a part of Calvin that was, I got to wonder if his team is like, dude, I know we're losing right now, but like, if you came back and knocked him out in round 5 on ABC, like, what, you know what I mean? Because the thing is Sunday morning we could have been talking about, holy crap, Calvin Kattar. You know what I mean?
Comeback of the year.
You know, you just don't know. And so, sorry, here, move my legs. Exactly to your point. I hope that wasn't in the equation of, hey, we're on a network and hey this and hey that. Like, I hope it was only ever just about the fighter. But yeah, it probably did come in there a little in the back of his mind of like, I'm not quitting. I'm not going to be sitting here on my stool on ABC freaking C and have you throw a towel in. Like, I have a feeling, you know, he probably just wouldn't go for that. And the thing is too, that could be a Hall of Fame fight now, right? That's obviously up for Fight of the Year in January, but that could be a Hall of Fame fight. You know, Calvin's name is going to be linked with this for all times. And yes, it sucks to be on the receiving end of somebody's greatest performance ever, but you had to inspire that performance too, right? Yep. I mean, Calvin is the guy that we didn't. I don't know. I guess it's just, my point is, it's not all bad for Calvin. I know it probably feels bad, but it's not all bad for him.
Well, it would have been a lot worse for Calvin if he would have been unconscious, face down on the canvas. But he powered through it, showed tremendous heart, and it became Max Holloway is a beast, and Calvin Kattar's got all heart. You know what I mean? And so, like, yes, it doesn't feel great, but it wasn't an embarrassing highlight reel. It was praising both men. And you said it. This fight should go down absolutely in the Hall of Fame as a fight of the night, Hall of Fame fight. I mean, you think about, was it Diego Sanchez versus, which one got in the Hall of Fame? Do you remember? Clay Guida, I think. Maybe I think that was a Hall of Fame fight. Matt Hughes versus, when he lifted up, what's his name, and ran it? Frank. Yeah,
it's Trigg.
Frank Trigg, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Ran across the octagon. Fights that give you fights that bring something out of you, fights like you said that you remember where you were when you watched them. I won't forget this one. I was sitting on. I just said, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm sitting on the couch, and I caught myself. I was going, and I was like, what? What's going to happen next? Is he going to start like popping, locking, and just? Is he in the Matrix? Can he not get hit? Can he hit everything? How will this combo ever end? And I feel like you could watch this fight 10 years from now and still have those same emotions start to bubble up and arise. And this is a Hall of Fame a performance by both men.
It really was incredible. And also I want to say props to Herb Dean, because I know a lot of time people give Herb a lot of grief too.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about this fight, whether or not it was stopped, you know, Herb was really right there on top of the action. And there were a couple times when Calvin was against the fence and, you know, Max was peppering him, then would turn around, throw an elbow and this and that. And there were a couple times when, you know, it looked like Calvin's energy bar was all the way down, you know what I mean? And it looked like he was about to get knocked out. And Herb was definitely really in there on top of everything. And same thing, like if Herb had stopped the fight, same thing. People would have gone bananas. How the F could you stop that? Blah, 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 blah. Like, he was in a tough situation in that fight, and I think refed it very well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with it.
Well, so before that fight, though, we saw two legendary fighters in Matt Brown and Carlos Condit. They were in our co-main event, and I saw Carlos victorious on Fight Island when I was there in October. He had a nice win over Court McGee, and a lot of things for Carlos seemed to be different, mindset-wise, skill set-wise. He was improving on some things, but mostly a lot of it was mindset. Going into this fight against Matt Brown, then we know this is a fight that they were going to have years ago, and they never did, and so it was kind of nice for it to finally happen. I wasn't really sure who was going to win this fight. I really didn't know going into it, but Carlos was victorious. And I don't know, I just enjoyed the fight. It was like an old school scrap. I liked it.
Yeah, entertaining. I think that was kind of the general consensus going around. Everybody was like, respect. Even you saw I think Nate Diaz came out and was like, these guys are warriors, and he doesn't always throw compliments
Yeah.
around. So it was nice to see that. Everybody respected both men. I thought going into this fight, Carlos would have the advantage because he was the younger guy, and Carlos has that awkward, I say awkward in a good way, awkward style. But he's very mobile, where Matt Brown was very much more stationary. And then I think we talked about this as well. Who would win the jiu-jitsu battle? And I thought people are kind of coming up short on Matt Brown's jiu-jitsu. Matt's got very good. It's not as flashy. He's not a guard guy, but he will submit you. And what I think we found out in this fight that Carlos Condit has improved his grappling tremendously. His wrestling grappling, his takedowns, transitions. You saw him hit that switch a couple times on Matt and get on top. But other than the grappling improvement, that I think Matt might have been a little surprised. Wow, Carlos got his stuff together right here. This isn't the Carlos Condit that fought Michael Chiesa, the guy taken down so easily, but also the guard game. The guard game of Carlos Condit always been very good, but body type, Carlos 6'2", Matt Brown 6 foot. Carlos long legs, dexterity, and limbs, and knows how to use his guard. So Matt would take Carlos down. Carlos would be playing, using his hips, throwing elbows, making Matt Brown very uncomfortable, taking damage from on top. But I still gave Matt Brown the first round, even though he was on top, taking some damage. But he was leading the fight, leading the dance. And the other two probably went to Carlos. But when Carlos would get on top, Carlos had the longer body, was able to do more damage on top. So I thought Carlos won the fight. I thought it should have been 29-28, not a 30-27. I understand why Matt Brown is mad. But I thought Carlos Condit's grappling and his activity from his back is what helped him win the fight.
Yeah, I thought he won too. At the end of the day, I thought that was the right call, but I did think that Matt won a round as well.
I did too. Because I remember tweeting, I go, you know what? I mean, this could go. I go, this could be a draw. Right. Like I think it's 1-1 going into the third. But I was kind of leaning towards Carlos. But it was just, they had some I don't want to say entanglements. They had some scrambles. They had some scrambles, in the third round where, like, one would sweep, the other person would be on top. And I was like, okay, like, who are you giving this round? But Carlos was the rightful winner. But I get it. If Matt Brown does retire, and that was his last fight, give me my freaking round. I won that round. I worked my ass off. I got elbowed in the head 20 times, but I stayed on top. Give me my round, judges.
Yeah. And Matt's a good guy. And just everything that the man has been through. The fact that he was still out there showing up and putting on a great performance, I give him a lot of respect. But, the one thing is that Carlos afterwards was talking about who could be next. And, with a name brand like Carlos Condit, there are always going to be people to fight him. But, Alan, you and I have talked about this. That would be really cool if you could fight him someday. Mm-hmm. When I saw Carlos on Fight Island, I mentioned you, and he's like, oh, my God, that would be so fun. I'd love to fight Alan. Stylistically, you guys would make a really great matchup. And so then it comes into the question now, though, of like, what does the future really hold for Carlos, right? Is he making a run for the title? Tomorrow night, what was this Monday? On Wednesday night, we have Chiesa and Magny going. Chiesa's doing very, very well in the division right now. I don't really know what the future holds for Carlos, if he's just going to have now like fun fights and legacy fights, or if he's really going to be making a run for it, because, I think it'd be fun if you could fight him. I know we talked last week about you maybe trying to get Diego Sanchez or something. So I guess my point is I don't know what's next for Carlos, but I hope he keeps going for a little while still, because I still enjoy watching him fight.
And with that said, it brought up as well, this is the last fight under his contract. And would he test out the market in free agency? And Carlos to me is such a UFC guy. He was built, he was made, he's part of the UFC. He said it. He said, look, they've always been great to me. He didn't really have any hints like, I plan on testing the market. I don't really see him as like he doesn't think these things out. Like, I don't think he's going to be like, well, I'm going to, go talk to Dana and have to, he's not like that. He's just a real chill kind of dude. He's like the Keanu Reeves of the fight game.
I know.
And so, So I think he'll stay with UFC. I think they'll, give him a little bump up in his pay. I think they'll say, here's some opportunities, pick what you want in these fights, and go from there. I don't want to say he doesn't need a payday, because I know he's had some investment opportunities, ups and downs. But like what I'm referring to is, would he say, what about the PFL? What about take a page out of Anthony Pettis' book? Go there, the division's not stacked. Win $1 million. All I have to do is win like 3 fights to get $1 million. I'm not making $1 million in the UFC. That could interest him, But I feel like Carlos is kind of happy where he's at right now. Man, I'm in the UFC. I'm winning again. People are loving me again. Like, it's a good feeling. So it'll be interesting to see what he does next. But I hope he stays in the UFC.
Yeah, I hope he does too. And you're right. Like, nobody doesn't like Carlos Condit. I mean, that's the thing, you know. And so you could see that. I could see other organizations wanting him for sure. But yeah, to your point too, he seems like the kind of guy that would roll into the office and be like, "You guys, you know I like fighting for you. You know we like each other. Like, let's just work it out." Like I get that vibe too. I hope that is the case. And I hope that is the case. Definitely enjoy Carlos. You know, sometimes, Alan, in a fight, you're the hammer. Sometimes you're the nail. Joaquin Buckley had that huge win on Fight Island with that kick, but then was taken out by Alessio Di Chirico. One thing I just want to ask you about that, though, was really afterwards in the interviews. Di Chirico didn't want to get interviewed because he said, I don't like that you guys only speak to the winners. Because I've been on the losing end. So I don't like that you guys only speak to the winners. You guys should speak to Joaquin as well. So I don't want to do an interview. And so it was kind of, on the one hand, you were like, yeah, bro, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. And that's noble. And yes, you're both competitors. And it's completely valid that we want to hear from both of you. But also, if the person gets knocked out, like, you know, we get a hard time for talking to fighters after they get knocked out. And so it was kind of a weird situation because I would have liked to hear from him, but at the same time, you're kind of like, well, that's an honorable thing. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. It was a noble thing for him to say, but bring it up and then move on. Say, you know what, I want to give a shout out to Joaquin because, you know, he's a guy that I've looked up to, or, you know, that knockout inspired me. Or I just want to say this was a fantastic fight. I was scared out of my mind going to this, and I'm so grateful that he's okay. Whatever. Say your piece, do that part, and then continue with the interview, not only for the business aspect of it, but to promote yourself as well. And he missed it. He missed it on that one. He missed it. And I'm not trying to throw him under the bus on this, but Dana White was as bewildered as with the remarks as well, because he was like, yo, like, I'm probably going to throw this guy a bonus, or this dude, like, let's promote him. I mean, we could do the same thing with him that we did with Joaquin, or, you know, like, right. There's so many options. And if you shut all the doors to only say I'm doing the noble thing, you can still do both. You can be noble and give your opponent credit, and then take the opportunities that are granted to you. So I felt like, to be honest, when I was watching him say that, Karyn, he was on the fence. He was like, I want to say this, you know, and I don't like to do the interviews. And he was thinking, like, should I really go 100% and get up and walk away? And halfway through, he just said, I guess I got to just keep doing it. I put myself in this position. So, yes, I'm done with the interview. And he kind of, like, walked away unsure. You know what I mean? I felt like he made up his mind during it and wasn't quite sure, and he had to kind of follow what he did. But, yeah, don't do that for other fighters. That's his thing, whatever. For other fighters moving forward, take opportunity. As John Anik always says, you got a hot mic, you take advantage of the hot mic. When doors open, you take opportunities. You do those things in life, and then you can always go back later and do the noble thing, or do both.
And also, because Marvin Vittori beat Jack Hermanson, you have an Italian guy at the top of the ranks right now, kicking major butt. And then you bring in Vittori's name. I'm also Italian. We're doing this. Italy taking over. Vini Vidi Vici. Like, you.
Yeah. No, it was a.
It's a blown opportunity, and it's frustrating to me.
I mean, we could have been seeing, if he didn't have to get angry, but he could have got on there and said, I want a top 10 guy. I've been knocking guys out, and this is what I've been trying to tell you guys that entire time, and I finally got the opportunity to prove it. Shout out to Joaquin. Nothing but respect for that warrior. Right. But I want a guy in the top 10. Yeah. Boom, walks away. Boom. Oh, shit, we got a new guy, contender in the division. But instead, he did the opposite. It's like, nice knockout, and we forgot about him because he walked away and didn't take it. So, yeah, I would have rather handle it differently. But I appreciate where he was going with it, and his heart didn't handle it the right way.
Me too. Okay, so that's 2 lessons. We've already got the lesson from Max, which is save your chicken. The lesson. How about we call him now Alessio Di Chirico? I'm playing with the name here. Alessio, we're taking a lesson, yo.
all day.
Take a hot mic and run with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so Alan, yeah, obviously there's a couple more fights. I'm not sure how many shows we'll do in between them, but we have Magny and Chiesa coming up. Michael Chiesa is very, very good, and I think not that I doubted him, but when he beat Rafael dos Anjos, I was like, oh, okay. Because I still think of Chiesa as the young kid that I met on the Ultimate Fighter media day when they let them out from that Tough Live season. I was the first, we joke about this whenever we work together. Mike's like, I was the first girl he had seen in how many weeks, and he wanted to like touch my hair and stuff. He's like, oh my God, it's a girl. No. It was so funny. And we had both bonded anyway about the passing of our fathers. Like, I've just really loved Chiesa for a really long time. And so now the fact that I get to work with him at the desk is a lot of fun. And then I'm like, oh yeah, shoot, he's really good. And he's a sponge when he is at work with the guys like Rashad and Anthony, like whoever he's working with, he rolls with them. He works with them. Like, so he's a constant student of the game. I know you guys all are, but that's something that I really do appreciate about Michael, is that he's constantly learning, and he sees when he's at work, like he's like, oh my God, I've got all these Hall of Famers sitting here and we're all just going to be sitting around in a hotel, or I can roll in the room or go to the PI with these guys. Like he's very aware of the opportunity at hand and like how he's kind of in his prime. And I find Chiesa to like really be on a tear right now. So I guess my point is, I don't know if we've seen a better Chiesa. Like, I think the timing and everything for him is really great right now. So I think he's going to give Neil a run for his money. That said, Neil Magny is so incredibly durable and so tough. And just when you think like, oh, he's been around forever, he's not going to be, then he still comes out and puts on incredible performances. So I'm not sure what to expect, but I do expect a great show from Chiesa, who I think is going to take the opportunity to have all the eyeballs on him in a main event on Fight Island. I think he's going to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, Chiesa's performance against RDA, very impressive performance. I mean, not a super exciting one, but you see how good RDA is. So many people, so many champions that he has taken down, and he has smushed them against the cage, and he just did it to Paul Felder. He did it to Showtime Pettis. He's done it to Nate Diaz. He's done it to so many people, and Chiesa did that to him. He was just a blanket on top of him the entire time. So you see the strength in his grappling game, and when you compare the two common opponents, Chiesa has beaten some of the guys that has beaten Neil Magny. On the other side of the coin, Neil Magny is always the hype train derailer. You get a guy, oh man, this guy's ready for the top 10. Let's call out Neil Magny, the most called out man in the UFC. He's always like a top 15 guy, and Neil Magny shoots those guys back down to the 20s and the 30s again. So, what was Neil Magny's one of his previous fights? Was it Ji Liang, the Chinese guy?
Oh, Li Jingliang, the Leech, yeah.
Li Jingliang. I mean, look what he just did.
Yeah.
Huge knockout.
Boom.
Off of a big name. And Magny just steamrolled through that guy. So, Magny, you kind of don't know. I don't want to say Magny doesn't show up, but you don't know which Magny you're going to get. The guy, you're like, holy crap, this guy is good everywhere. Or sometimes he just takes a loss to somebody, and you're like, oh, well, that's why he's the number 15 and not the number 10. Like, you don't really know. But good matchup. Two very, evenly matched guys. It should be a fun one for us.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny to, not that it's pointless to preview Conor versus Dustin, because it isn't pointless. Obviously, it's like there's 97 million shows previewing Conor versus Dustin this time.
Yeah.
And I know, there'll be a lot to talk about after. I guess on that one, I'm just curious who you think has just the mental edge in this one. I feel like there's so much obviously going Conor's way in the mental edge in that one, because he won the first one and because who he is. He's Conor, and all of that. And Dustin has to contend with not only the person in the octagon actually with him, but everything that Conor is outside of the octagon as well. But then I think on the flip side of it, I think, well, you know what, Dustin actually might have the mental edge because he has so much less to lose in certain ways. But then again, does he want to lose to him twice? It's a very interesting dynamic to me, and honestly, the mental game of this is the one I think I'm the most interested in.
I'll say this about the fight, Karyn. Normally, we see Conor play head games with people, and he gets bad blood with them, and he bullies them social media, and he gets in their head, and they don't fight the same. Conor took a different approach in this fight. He's not trying to bully guys, but what he is doing that's very different and can still be something that sucks the energy out of you is he's saying how confident he is. All that we've heard this entire camp is his coach is saying, I can't wait for you guys to see what Conor's doing. He's firing on all cylinders. Conor's saying, I feel like a 55er. Everything I'm doing, I'm sharp. My punches are poppy. this is the best I've ever been. Instead of saying, I'm going to squash this little pea-head Dustin Poirier like he would have done in the past, he says, I promise you a masterpiece. How does Dustin Poirier take this? Does he rather, oh, thank God he's not beating me up on social media? Or does he say, wow, he's not even going the low roads. He's going the high roads and just saying how good he is. So which confidence from Conor is the most humbling or throws you off of your game if you're his opponent? And so that's what, to me, that's going to be the telltale. One thing I will say as well, to follow that up, I've had personally and seen many of fighters that sometimes you feel like a shark from training camp. Everything is going good. You're healthy. Your hips are open. Your punches are snappy. And it creates this air of confidence that just like, this is the best me I've ever been. But then when you perform and it's kind of a tough fight, you go, dang, like I thought I was going to be so much better. It was just because you felt so good during camp when you're used to feeling shitty. And you don't perform because you think I'm going to be the best I've ever been because I feel good. But you don't always perform to that same standard. I'll be interested to see if that's what happens because I see it a lot of times where guys have these healthy camps. I can't do it. I feel so good. I got better and all these. I can't wait to showcase all these new skills that I got. And then it ends up being kind of a stalemate kind of a match. And so I'm curious to see, will Conor show us the masterpiece that he's promising, or will it be a back and forth Dustin Poirier type of fight?
And the thing that's interesting to me too is to be that confident, but then to only fight once a year, like to me that it's almost like you're building yourself up for a huger fall by fighting so infrequently. Like I guess that like everything matters so much more because if you're only going to fight once and you build all this stuff up, hopefully I know he says he feels better now, and hopefully we'll see him more active in 2021. I hope that's the case. Because I love watching him fight and it's so entertaining, but it sucks it's such once a year thing. Like, really, bro?
I saw Dana says he's confident Conor will fight at least 3 times a year.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And I got to say one thing as well. I know Dustin is the diamond, but when it comes to putting pressure on yourself, Conor's the guy that flies with what's the word I'm trying to say? With shining colors or whatever.
Right, you're right. The more pressure he puts on himself, the better he performs.
Always. I mean, the guy says, I'm going to do it in the second round and does it. I predict these things, so like he's a guy that kind of feeds off of pressure. Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I hope we do see Conor more often. I don't know how this fight will go. If Dustin wins, hopefully that means we would get a trilogy down the line or something like that, which could be incredible. Just looking forward to it. Hopefully, knock wood, like the fight happens. Everything stays intact and all that. But I did see the video of Conor arriving at the hotel in Abu Dhabi, and it is funny. If people have seen it by now, the guy that yells and everybody when we're getting off, and he's sitting there screaming, and Conor pulled up in like a Rolls Royce or whatever, and you got the one guy just screaming, and it is funny because it's different when he's screaming at us all in the bus. Because it's a bus full of people coming out, but it was just funny to have the one guy, like the hype man, yelling and screaming, and it's just Conor getting out of his car with his family and stuff. It was kind of funny.
I was like, dude, you're gonna scare his kids. Like, you're yelling very, very close to his kid's ear. Like, I was kind of worried about that. Like, and everybody's in like hazmat suits and they're screaming. Like, this kid's got to be thinking, what planet am I on right now?
But the other funny thing I thought was, Alan, do you think that Conor had a shirt on in the car and took the shirt off before he got out of the car, or did he ride the whole time without a shirt on?
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, he's got to be thinking, how can I make a splash? How can this be a memorable instant? And you know what? Conor's got to be a little bit jealous, Karyn. Khabib had that memorable entrance on the way to the arena with all the black SUVs, and they had like an aerial shot, and everybody was like, that was so magical. Everybody had goosebumps. Conor's got to be thinking, no, I'm going to take the cake on this one. So this was just a preview, I think, of what we're going to see come Saturday night.
Meanwhile, though, the arena is like right over there from the hotel. Like, I can throw a baseball and just about hit it. It's not that far.
We'll take the long route.
Right, to the motorcade, right. We'll go over and take a couple laps. But anyway, it's a good time for fights. Wednesday night and then Saturday night again. And we saw Maxi Baby. Absolutely just incredible. So it's nice to have the fights back for 2021. And everyone's like, hey, if we're starting off this way, then we got a good year ahead of us.
You know what? I don't know why this came to me, Karyn, but I think Conor is going to arrive at the arena via helicopter on Saturday night. That's what I would do. If I had the money, why not rent the biggest, nicest, like Air Force, what's the Air Force helicopter? Air Force 2?
Yeah.
Air Force 2, the helicopter. That, if he got dropped off with that thing, no shirt on, baby in hand, who knows? It'd be amazing. Or yacht. Come by on the yacht. I don't know.
In the yacht. Yeah, because the yacht pulls up to the W. If you could get the yacht, but the yacht would be out of the bubble, though.
The helicopter can come off of the yacht. We're thinking. We're trying.
Meanwhile, Dustin's going to be like old school and like some old school, like, you know.
Yeah.
Keeping it real.
It's gonna be like the Mike Tyson's Punch Out, where his trainer's on the bicycle and Dustin Poirier is jogging behind.
Dustin's gonna have the towel with the hole cut through it.
Connor's on the yacht in the helicopter. Oh my God, I can't wait for Saturday night.
Yeah, you know your boy from Lafayette's gonna represent well. I love it. Good stuff. All right, well listen. You can follow our producer Wade Eck on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm KB Heat over on Instagram. Karyn Bryant across the board everywhere else. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. But you can also see this over on MMAHeat.com. Alan, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, and same with me, guys. At Alan Jouban for all my social media, and appreciate you guys tuning in today.
All right, folks. We'll see you next time.